This video is brought to you by Audible. Use the link in the description, audibletrial.com/deductionist to get a free audiobook of your choice. So, I often get asked about the basics of deduction. Where to begin, what are the core aspects, what do I need to do to start training, etc. On our Discord server, linked to which is in the description, we have been trying to put together a sort of automated response bot system for those frequently asked questions, and I wanted to give a big thank you to Cardall as well as the rest of the mod team for making this Discord server what it is right now. I couldn't possibly run it well on my own, and Cardall has been a huge help streamlining the whole thing and making it the best online discussion forum for deduction that it can be. Now, in writing up some things for her to put in the automated responses to various questions, I thought of a supplement to that would be to make a video briefly discussing these core fundamental topics to deduction. That one video then turned into 3, so now we're going to have a little tiny mini-series. Now, prior to all this, I had a playlist called Bare Bones Beginner's Guide, which I put together a while ago, compiling videos from my back catalog of sort of unrelated videos that cover some basic topics and techniques. So consider these next 3 videos in this mini-series to be your one-stop shop for beginners in that regard, sort of replacing the old Bare Bones for Beginner's Guide. With that being said, let's jump into things. There are 3 main skill sets that every deductionist needs for the process to work, those being observation, memory, and the ability to employ logical reasoning. This video will deal with the basics of observation. But before we jump into that, I want to take a moment to thank Audible for sponsoring this video. Audible is the leading provider of audiobooks and other audio material, including podcasts, Audible originals, and comedy. An Audible membership will give you a credit every month that you can spend on any audiobook you like, and you can save up those credits, which are good for a whole year, and then binge buy books like I like to do every few months. And right now, if you follow the link in the description, audibletrial.com/deductionist, you will get a 30-day free trial membership with Audible and be able to get a free audiobook of your choice, which you can listen to on just about any of your devices. This week, I recommend getting Sapiens, A Brief History of Humankind by Yuval Noah Harari. It was the first audiobook that I ever listened to with Audible, and as an anthropology minor, it was a phenomenal listen. Again, to grab your free audiobook and start your 30-day free trial, use the link in the description, audibletrial.com/deductionist, to let Audible know you came from this video. Now, we can break the topic of observation down into 2 main points: cultivating mindfulness and the difference between periphery and focus, both in regards to senses and attention itself. Now, mindfulness is a sort of hot-button word these days, thrown around by everyone from yogis to self-help gurus and psychologists. Mindfulness, simply put, is the state of mind of being present in the current moment. It has been shown through studies using fMRI scans that 10 minutes of mindfulness meditation a day is sufficient to change the gray matter density in one's brain after 6 months, and increase awareness both of one's surroundings and internal processes like emotions. In this experiment, the brains of participants who practiced mindfulness meditation for 10 minutes a day looked remarkably similar to the brains of trained meditators, monks who had been practicing mindfulness for the better part of their lives. So it's amazing what just a little bit of practice can achieve in such a short amount of time. Now, Dr. Paul Ekman, who many of you will know as the founder of nonverbal communication science, is also an advocate of mindfulness meditation and explains that the practice of mindfulness makes you aware of your own emotions, which allows you to control them better. Something that is extremely useful to a deductionist who's trying to remain objective in their examinations. A practical, in-the-moment way to establish mindfulness for the purposes of observation is, rather than approach observation from a standpoint of observing everything around you, start with paying close attention to yourself. Think about your position relative to your surroundings, and your brain will naturally gather information about those surroundings. This is most easily achieved by paying attention to your feet. Thinking about where you step and the ground beneath you will emanate your awareness outward. The foundation of efficient observation lies in starting with the internal rather than the external. When I first figured this out, it changed the entire way that I thought about observation. For the first couple of years of my study and training of deduction, I always tried to force observation by consciously making an effort to move my eyes around and pay attention to my surroundings. But this paradigm shift from an external to an internal approach broke the barriers I was finding for myself. While it does take some effort to be mindful, it truly is as simple as merely reminding yourself to take account of your surroundings when you notice that you're not doing it anymore. As long as you can remember to remind yourself of that, observation will come naturally and become more and more natural the more and more you do it. And from a psychological perspective, this makes a lot of sense. You use your body as a reference point for your environment. Nothing matters unless it is in relation to you and your survival. These are basic, evolutionarily conserved, energy-efficient survival strategies, and our brain is most effective when we work with it rather than against it. Now, in regards to observation, there's another key thing to keep in mind. Attention and sensory input can be divided dichotomously into peripheral and focused. Cognitively, your conscious mind is very focused and can evaluate information in crisp detail, but it can only focus on one thing at a time. Conversely, your subconscious is more peripheral, being able to manage many pieces of information at once, but in lower resolution. This is why thin slicing and eureka moments occur. When your conscious mind gets stuck on a problem, this is a function of your conscious mind's laser-focused approach. Because it can only manage a small amount of information at a time, you can find your conscious stream of thought, for lack of a better term, getting trapped by its attention to the data points that you've already gathered and are now evaluating, making it unable to call upon additional information. While your conscious mind takes a break, your subconscious mind continues working on the problem. With its low resolution but wide search, it can find and bring to your conscious mind information stored in your memory that your conscious mind was barred from accessing, which gives you that eureka moment. Similarly, your senses follow the same route. Your vision can be broken down into your fovea, your focused vision at the center of your retina with a high concentration of cones, but which only has an area of field of vision roughly the size of your pinky nail, and then your peripheral vision, which is an out-of-focus, low-resolution rendering of the rest of your visual field. Because the further and further you get from the center of the retina, the higher the proportion of rods as opposed to cones. Now, normally your conscious mind attends to your focused vision, and your subconscious mind focuses on your peripheral vision. Now, when I used to instruct people, I would tell them this, and I could tell that they were skeptical. So I instructed them to close their fists, but leave a tiny little hole between their fingers, and then cover their eyes, and then try and walk around, so they were restricted to only their focused vision. Now, when you do that, you'll find very quickly how important your peripheral vision is to avoiding objects in your environment, even familiar environments. Now, for the purposes of observation, we can switch our attention, bringing our conscious mind to evaluate our peripheral vision, allowing us to very quickly get a low-resolution rendering of our environment, which in turn will inform us of the important aspects of that environment, so that when we shift our attention back to our focused vision, we know where to point our eyes naturally and intuitively. The same concept can be applied to hearing and smell. You'll find that as you do this, your eyes will know what the interesting, highly informative points in the environment are intuitively, and you will shift out of your peripheral to your fovea without even having to think about it. The low-resolution rendering provides you with a base of knowledge on which areas need a high-resolution rendering. Now, in the Bare Bones Beginner's Guide, I have some videos dedicated to observation exercises to keep your skills sharp, but a brief explanation of some of them now. Flash observation. Challenge yourself with looking at a room filled with people and observing groupings of people for less than 3 seconds before looking away, and then seeing if you can recall the number of people and visual characteristics about them from memory, such as clothing style, color, height, build, and posture. Blind drawing. Take an object, desk, or other environment, observe it, and then turn away and draw to the best of your ability from memory. If you cannot draw very well, then you can substitute this with writing a description. Leap of faith. Rearrange an environment to create obstacles and then blindfold yourself and walk through the path in the environment, relying on your memory to inform your steps. Each failed attempt avoiding an obstacle will, through positive punishment, reinforce you to be more observant naturally. A variation of this is just take a cluttered desk, blindfold yourself, and then reorganize that desk from memory. So that is the basics of observation. If you hone in on these simple principles and exercises, I promise you that your powers of observation will skyrocket. In the next video, coming soon, we'll be going over the basics of memory and memory systems, and then finishing out this miniseries with tackling the application of logical principles, where I will finally address the differences and different uses of deductive, inductive, and abductive reasoning. Proper this time. So, with all that being said, thank you so much for watching. Thank you to Audible for sponsoring this video, and once again, thank you to Cardall and the mod team at the Discord server for all your amazing help. Arrivederci, Deductionists.